Hello and welcome to Naval Action. This is VMAQ2-X, and it is Sunday the 18th of May. It is about 4:30 in the afternoon. There are 996, 998 online and 176 battles. The only news I got to pass is from yesterday, from the devs. Captains, the following changes were applied today, May 17th, which was yesterday. Doubled the amount of wood in the wooden chest from the raid port battles. Increased chances to receive rare woods from the wooden chests. And that is it for that. Now I want to address a question from a viewer. Shout out Shreebman. Could you provide a sailing tutorial including fore and aft rig ships versus square rig vessels? Thanks. Okay, the next couple clips that are coming up, I take this subject on. I do hope that I am giving you what you're asking for. If it's not suiting your need, please say so in the comments, and I'll try to correct that error. But here come the clips. Okay, here we are entering combat. I'm in the basic links, and I've tagged another links. Now the idea here is I want to try to demonstrate fore and aft rig ship, and then I'll demonstrate a square rig ship and what I think of them. First of all, the fore and aft rig ship, the sails are along the center line, fore to aft, pretty self-explanatory. You can see them going up here. Now, fore and aft rig ship has excellent qualities throughout the compass. And another thing is you can leave it on skipper auto most of the time with no issues. That's why it's a good beginner's ship, because you don't need to do a lot of manual sailing with this. As you get better with it, you might want to experiment with the manual sailing. But I find you can generally get along just fine with it on skipper auto. There's only like a couple occasions where you really need to be on manual sails. Now you saw there I depowered, and what that does is that levels you out. You can see how close to going through the wind I am. Because he didn't depower, he shot his balls into the water. Turning away, yep. So you depower to level out and you shoot. That was not a good shot. Repower back up, that's the T key. And you can see it has good speed, a good turn radius on auto skipper. You can see how I'm affected by the wind as it starts to go from the side. So that what you do is you depower and that levels your guns out. And then you can aim. Still, some of the shots hit the water. Repower up. And all the way through the compass, you have good speed and performance. See how much it leans with the wind pushing against it? And as I go closer to dead into the wind, it still maintains a good speed. What we're going to do is we're going to let him get stuck. And then we'll turn and shoot. Depower. That levels you out. And you just continue to turn and then repower back up. He's stuck in the wind right now. He's going to get out of it in a moment. Depower. You want to like straighten out, level out, and shoot. Then you repower. Go back across the compass again. Generally don't want to go into the wind, but you can. The next time around I'll do that and demonstrate that part of it. So we're going to straighten out, depower, take aim. Waves ate my shots that time. See the lean? Depowering gets rid of that lean. It will settle your ship down. But you maintain good speed pretty much throughout the whole part of the compass except right dead into the wind. Going to get stuck in the wind again, I think. So depower and aim. Repower back up. And this time we'll go through the wind. As you go through the wind, most times you'll get your nose across the wind, and then the skipper starts to turn his sail the other way. Well, what you want to do is you want to keep the sail like that, and that's going to push your nose around. Push your nose around. Then you hit auto skipper, and you speed back up again. Depower. I can't recommend depower enough in a fore and aft rig ship to get rid of that heel issue. So here we are, we're going to depower, straighten up, center up our rudder. Wait for the waves to clear, and shoot. Repower up and turn into them. Give them a skinny target. He still hit me. You can sail very close to into the wind in a fore and aft rig ship. Not a huge loss of speed. That was a good round there. Now I'm letting the skipper auto do all of the work for me. throughout the entire compass except dead into the wind when you got to cross over the wind. Then you need to do a little. You can sharpen your turns by depowering and manual sailing. If you want to learn that, go right ahead. He's gonna, once he should turn away here. Let's see. Depower to level out. Repower. Follow him through the turn. Now he's going to get stuck in the wind again. We're going to depower. He got right through it that time. Powered, your turns are sharper. Straighten it out. Aim. We're going to go through the wind here. Now we're slow, so as we cross over, watch how that front sail turns. You want to turn it back into the wind so it helps you turn. And then depower. Repower. And continue the turn around. Power, level out, take aim, shoot. Not a good shot. But he derped his into the water because he didn't depower. So you want to turn into him. We're maintaining good speed all through the compass here. He's committed to shooting now, so skinny up. Bring it around. Power. And where's he at? Big wave in the way. Shoot. Now you repower. I want to go left. So I turn my sail to help me push left. Actually, it's going to push me right. Now I'm going backwards. I want to counter steer to the right. That'll bring my nose back over. Once I got my nose across, I can turn back left. And then go skipper auto. Keep my nose on him. He's going to come across my left side here. Got wait for those waves to clear. It performs good all through the compass. Most of your fore and aft ships are like this. Powering, bringing the guns on, level out, shoot, repowering, and turn into them. Now he's turning away to get his other side guns on you. Power. Pretty big hit that time. So that's the good thing about the fore and aft ships in the game, is you don't need to do a lot of manual sailing. Just when you're going through the wind, you can leave the skipper auto on as much as you want. And basically that's how I fight these battles, is I just turn back through the wind, back through the wind. He's doing the same thing. It's like figure eight fighting. Skaters, you know, you think of ice skating. That's what it seems to me. Like two ice skaters. Only with broadsides. He's going to start flooding now and slowing down considerably. So if you can get him stuck in the wind again, he'll probably stay there until he sinks. You have good acceleration of fore and aft ship. You have good performance throughout the compass. And the only time you really need to do any kind of manual sailing is right here through the wind. Just watch that front sail. As soon as your nose crosses, the skipper auto tries to turn it. You want to push it back the other way. That way it helps push your nose through. Bad shot. That was rushed. So he's really slowing down now. How closely I can go to the direct into the wind. Ooh, he's on fire. I want to go the other way. Now when they catch on fire, you want to keep your distance. got no armor left. He's going to sink anyways. Sit here and watch the explosion happen. He's in fire shock now. Means he's going to blow up. Boom. Battle over. Okay, let's inspect the ship. Yummy gold. All right. So let's go over sailing. Here we are. We're heading with the wind to our back. We'll power up, and you can watch us get up to full speed here. You have good acceleration in a fore and aft rig ship. It turns nice. I mean, if you want to experiment with the sails, you can make it turn sharper. Here we are, we got the wind on our side. You can see how much lean we get. So if you're trying to shoot and the waves are hitting you and the lean's affecting you, you might miss. Or if you're going the other way, look, your guns are pointed to the water. You may have a problem shooting. So let's turn almost dead into the wind and see how fast we go. And we're doing a respectable 7 knots, slowing down. Now if you're in a square rig ship, you're not anywhere near this fast. You're like going 1, 2 knots, maybe even backwards by this point. So when we want to cross over, when we want to turn through the wind, watch that front sail. The skipper auto, he'll start turning it once our nose crosses over. And what you want to do is turn it back. And that will help you turn through the wind. See how it's just virtually pushing it sideways? And then when you're ready, just hit skipper auto and you'll start to speed up again. Because now you got those front sails catching the wind. And then you got good acceleration. Now the only time you don't really need to depower is when you're basically having the wind straight from your back. See, we're a level ship now. So you got good aim that way, you got good aim that way. It's when you get the wind acting on you and tipping the ship over, you might want to experiment with the depower key, and that's the T key. So now the ship starts to lean. I want to shoot, let's say he's over there. Hit depower and watch the ship. It will settle. There's less action from the waves. And you fire. Nice and steady. Let's do it from the other way. Power up. really leaning over now. See how much we're leaning? Now you may not be able to even get the guns to fire that high. Let's try. Got it? So, the depowering brings your guns up so you got more range. When you fight the AIs and they're leaned over like that, they're going to derp their shots into the water. Or on the other side, they might shoot over you because of the upward angle to the right or the downward angle to the left. That's why the AI ships miss you a lot in battle. So let's go through the wind one more time. So Skipper Otto, he's managing your sails for you. Your speed is good. You're at 9 knots. It's going to drop off as you get slower and slower into the wind. And then you cross over, and Skipper Otto, he automatically starts turning the sail. But if you want to help yourself, turn it back. Turn the front one back using the Q key or the E key. And you see how that pushes you right around? Then you can hit F, let Skipper Otto take over, straighten out, speed up. You can really get through the wind fast that way in a fore and aft rig ship. And basically I let Skipper Otto do all of the work through the whole compass, all the way around, except right when I'm crossing over into the wind. So fore and aft rig ships in the game are great for beginners because you don't have to do a lot of sail management to you're still going to have a maneuverable ship. Now if you want to tighten up those turns, you can do things with the sails here, and that will help you turn, like neutralize turns. Or slow them down. But I don't generally mess with that. I just let Skipper Otto manage it. That's the F key. And all I worry about is the rudder. So that's what I think about fore and aft rig ships. Good ships for beginner because it doesn't require a lot of sail management. The only time you really need, and even then you don't always need it. Let's one more time turn through the wind, and this time I won't do anything. All I did was I went full left rudder, and we'll see if it makes it through the wind. See, as soon as the nose crosses over, Skipper Otto turns that front sail, and your turn is really slow, but you do get around, and eventually you speed right back up if you let Skipper Otto do it. Now if you're very much slower, you might get stuck in the wind, so that's why I recommend you can use the Q or the E key to move that front sail and help yourself through. So that's what I think about a fore and aft rig ship. Now we're going to move over to a square rig ship. Okay, here we are in a square rig ship. This is the Cerberus. And I chose this one because this is the ship that you get for the final exam reward, which is what I believe that most people are doing, is they start off in the basic links, might move up into a slightly larger ship, but eventually they're going to do the final exam, and this might be their first real square rig ship. Now what makes it a square rig ship? Well, it has different sails. Once we get going, you'll see them drop. It has fore and aft sails, but it also has square sails. And that's where it gets most of its power from, is the square sails. So we've targeted a Navy brig. And you're going to watch this one here. You use a lot more manual sailing in a square rig ship to help yourself turn sharper. So if you watch down here in the corner, the little ship indicator on the compass, you can see the way I manipulate the sails. Now, the back two pair of sails, the rear two masts, are controlled by the Z and the C key. The front, the foremast, is controlled by the Q and the E key. And you don't really need to depower so much in these ships as long as it's a stable one. I immediately want to turn left, so I'm going to turn my sails to help me sharpen the turn, and if I depower, that will also sharpen my turn. I'm going to hit F, get it going again. Still depowered. That keeps me maneuverable. I'm using my sails to turn. But he got a good shot on me that time. F to straighten out. Sails to help you turn sharper. And then when you want to speed up, you can power back up. See how turning the back sails to in line with the wind, what that does is that neutralizes them, and it makes the foresail have more control of the ship turn. Oh. On fire, so you got to click 8 and you click off a gunnery. That allows more people to help fight the fire. You always want to be maneuvering, and I use a lot of manual sailing in a square rig ship. Keeping those back sails in line with the wind lets the front sail really pull that nose around. Okay, it looks like the fire is out, so I can go back to gunnery. We'll start loading the guns again. Do a lot of manual sailing in a square rig ship. Just tightens your turns up. Fire again? What? Some days it's just your turn to be in the barrel. Looks like the fire is back out, back on reload. Now I'm going to go through the wind. Watch my sail action to go through the wind. I'm going to use the back sails to help me turn through the wind while the front sail is neutralized. Watch your speed, and if your speed goes below 0, you need to counter steer, but it didn't. So I go back forward motion. Aim here. Now full turn left, neutralize the rear sails, and just let the front one pull me around. And while I'm going around, I'll shoot the back guns. Now at a point I'll hit F and then I'll continue to steer with the front sail. He's starting to sink. So we're going to straighten out here, give him the final shots. You can see the wind affects you from the side also. See how much lean there is? So if that lean is bothering you, you can always... Now here's our speed, almost into the wind. Look how slow we're going to go into the wind. In the fore and aft rig ship, we were doing a good 5 knots. Here we'll just let it run on down. We'll be lucky to be doing 3 knots. While we're doing that, we'll inspect the ship. Silver Ignatz. What? That's the first one of those I've gotten. That was not a bad kill there. Okay, see how fast we're going? We got all of our sails up. Not even doing... So square rig ships do not do good into the wind. Now we're going to start turning left. And we'll speed up as more of our sails can catch the wind. So now we're going to rapidly start speeding up because now more of our square sails are catching the wind. And the little triangular fore and aft ones. What they do is they just fill the gaps in between the square sails. So we got good speed now, but if we turn more, at this point of the compass, we pretty much have the most sail catching the most wind. And you can see that we're going to speed up pretty well here. Let me get it back a little bit. Right there. So look at our speed climb. That's because we have the most sail getting hit by the most wind at this point. We also have some heel. So if you were going to shoot someone, it might be a problem getting your guns down on target if he was close. My guns will only go so low. If it was a small ship and he was passing close to board, you might miss him. You might shoot all your guns. And then here, how high can your guns get? Because they're pointing down. Same deal as in a fore and aft rig ship. Okay, now we're going to turn more with the wind to our back and see what performance is. At the speed that turn up, you just neutralize those rear sails. See how much sharper the turn gets? So here now, it's more the square sails doing the work and not so much the fore and aft sails. So you're not going to have as much speed. Topped out at 10-2. Now we're going to go all the way with the wind directly behind us. You should see even more of a drop off because now we're only getting a limited amount of sail. Now the fore and aft rig ship had a pretty constant speed through the whole compass. Once you let it get up, once you let it steady out, straighten out, and get going again. See, the best we can do here, just under 10. That's because we've limited the amount of sail catching the wind. So it's the same if we turn it this way. Again, if you want to speed up your turns, you just use those manual sails. That'll give you a sharp turn. Then F straightens them out. So here we are again at probably the best point for catching the wind with all of our sails. Watch how our speed grows. Now, manual sails in the square rig ship takes practice. That's all I can say is you just need to learn your methods and you'll be fine. Learn and practice. So let's turn through the wind. To help my nose around, I'm going to neutralize the front sail, put it in line with the wind, and keep it that way. And then you got to turn the back sails to catch the wind and push the back side of the ship across the wind. Now, a lot of ships are going to go negative at this point. And if you go negative, which we have, well, there we did, you want to counter steer. And then once you go positive, you want to steer back right. And then when you're ready, you can go skipper auto. Now, if I wanted to continue that turn, see, I'm still going right. I would neutralize the back sails, put them in line with the wind, and keep them in line with the wind, and see how much quicker we turn. You can turn these things on a dime with practice. And then when you get ready to go through the wind, then all I do is I use the front sail, and I let the back sails kind of push me around. So you can have tight turns, and that's a good thing about these. Now we're just going to go with the skipper auto through the wind, and you're going to see what happens. This is called getting stuck in irons or chains. I don't know if they call it chains or irons. Speed rapidly drops off. now we're stuck. Now we're going backwards. So if you start going backwards, you want to counter steer. Then what that does is that makes the back of the boat turn left. But you also want to use the wind. There we go. See how we're coming around now? Now we got the wind pushing against the nose. The back is held neutral into the wind. I'm gonna go right again because that's what we're turning is right. And we should go positive speed. Keep those back sails neutral. Now we can go the other way. And we're going to use the front sail to pull us around in our turn. Keep those back sails neutral. And then when you're about to cross over, I hit F. That straightens everything out. And if I still want to go right, I'll turn the front sail to neutralize it. See, we're turning sharply. So square rig ships. I find that fore and aft rig ships, the rudder authority is pretty damn good, so you don't need to use your sails for all phases of your turns. Whereas square rig ships, the rudders are less effective, so you are almost have to use your sails to help push you around. Because like when you get into the bigger ships like first rates, those things are like just big floating blocks, and they don't turn for crap unless you use sails. So that's what's nice about the learning to sail the smaller ships, is you get good at manual sailing, and you can help. Then you can use the sails when you get into the big, slow, massive blocks of wood. You can use them to help you. You can use all that knowledge you gained on the smaller ships to help turn the bigger ships. Because turning one of those through the wind is an exercise. So, I do hope that I've answered your question. Square rig ships versus fore and aft. I feel that square rig ships, you need to do a lot more manual sailing, and there are a lot more, I would say, maneuverable at slow speeds. The fore and aft rig ships always keep a good speed no matter what regime in the compass they're sailing. We didn't do that yet, did we? So we're sailing at this speed. Now watch how much we slow down when we get towards the wind. Having it in our face. Watch how much we slow down. The fore and aft rig ship was still making good speed when we reached this point in the compass. Here you're just going to watch our speed drop like a rock. And it's crawling. Now what if you wanted to go through the wind at this speed? Because we're definitely going to go negative at this speed. So you would go full left rudder, turn your sails. What that does is that helps your back end push around. We're going negative, so we want to counter steer. That helps us, our back end, come around. And as our nose comes across the wind, you're going to see the speed start to go back to 0 in positive speed. So once that happens, you want to do two things. You want to go back full right and then begin to use your sails in a positive manner. And then your speed will rapidly increase. More if you stay straight like this. And your acceleration is different from ship to ship in the square rig ships. A first rate, if you ever saw 8 knots in a first rate, you're burning some speed there, buddy. They go slow. And then certain square rig ships would already be up over 10 knots by now, like a Trink would be way fast by now. Approaching 11, 12 knots. See what we top out at. This is probably an optimum angle for speed. (10-3). So let's go more with our nose with the wind. See what we top out at? It's going down. 9.4, 9.5, 9.6. That back with the wind right behind us. So that looks like it's optimum top speed at that angle. And then we'll flip around. So if you imagine that the arrow, the wind arrow is at your nose, from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock is your best speed range. And then, oh, okay, that's it for that. We're done. Okay, we're heading back to port. I want to hope that I managed to answer your question as far as the differences between square rigged and fore and aft rig ship. Fore and aft rig ship has good speed all the way through the compass except dead into the wind. Whereas a square rig ship, you're going to see an appreciable drop off on half the compass. Once you cross over a certain point on the compass going towards the wind, your speed is going to start bleeding off fast. And then depending on the size of the ship, you know, certain ships maintain good speed up to a point, and then there's a massive drop off, and then some ships, they have a massive drop off and then get slower, you know, to the point where they're going backwards at a few degrees left and right of the dead end of the wind. They're going to be sailing backwards, you know, very slow. So each type of ship has its advantages, and with enough gameplay, you're going to master them. And I hope that you do. Look at that sky. Thanks for watching.